everyone, over here. We're back, and today we have a court case show react. We have two brothers who are in court. One is suing the other, so sounds like it's gonna be a messy case. Let's get started.
Your Honor, case number 231 on the calendar, the matter of Mosier versus Mosier.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Mr. Mosier, you claim that your brother assaulted you.
Yes, ma'am.
He assaulted you at his home, where you were a guest.
Yes, ma'am.
Who do you live with?
My parents, ma'am.
How old are you?
26.
What's your first name?
William.
Who do you live with?
My wife.
And your first name is?
Stephen.
So, it is your claim that William assaulted you. William says that there was a fight that you started. You just got the worst of the... When did this argument take place, Stephen?
This occurred on September 25th, about 8:45 p.m. My wife and I, Amanda, we had gone over to my parents' house to visit, have dinner. Everything was fine. There was no arguments. We had dinner. Everyone adjourned outside. We began watching a television show, my wife and I, at 8 o'clock.
Where?
In the kitchen, on a small 15-inch, 17-inch television.
Okay.
About 45 minutes into the program, the defendant walked through the kitchen.
Your brother?
Yes, walked through the
He
kitchen.
just calls him, like, the defendant. And I know sometimes, like, you have to do that in court, but you could say your brother. Like, she's aware that that is your brother. But I think that also is very telling of their, the relationship that they have is definitely not the best.
Into the living room and turned on the large television with surround sound. He turned it on very loud.
Why were they in the kitchen watching TV instead of watching their show on the big TV? Unless they were, like, eating or something and they just wanted to eat in the... Well, they said they already had dinner. Maybe they were having ice cream and they were sitting at the bar watching the TV. That's what I picture in my head.
What his problem was, but he turned it on very loud. I walked into the living room and I asked him very politely. I said, "Hey man, could you please just turn down the television a little bit?" And at that time he yelled at me profanities. I turned around.
I don't know. I get if they have, like, a terrible relationship, but if you just came in calmly and said, "Hey, do you mind turning that down?" then he just starts screaming at you, like, I mean, I guess that can happen, but more than likely, he probably was not as nice as he wants to portray himself as being.
Anything to him. I came back into the kitchen. I sat down. I tried to hear my program that I'd been watching for 45 minutes already, and I could not hear it. I sat directly in front of the television set, turned it up. I still couldn't hear it. I walked all the way back into the living room, and I asked him again. I said, "Man, could you please just turn it down a little bit?" Politely.
That I don't believe.
3 times. Three times, Your Honor.
Stephen, first time maybe, second time I don't believe.
Well, Your Honor, he had an anger problem.
Well, clearly, I mean, I think he probably does too. They both do if they got into a fight over a TV show. That's such a, like, you could just tell that they just don't have a good relationship, that if they're, like, you know, there's going to be a fight over, "Hey, can you turn down the TV?" "No, I won't." And, I mean, he's allowed to be there and watch TV in his parents' house, but, again, I guess he lived, like, the younger brother, or the defendant, I don't know if he's younger or not, I don't know if they said, but he, you know, I mean, he wanted to watch... he probably did it on purpose to be petty, more than likely. Probably was annoyed that, like, his brother was still there, maybe. Because, again, I don't think they get along very well. But, and him and his wife, the plaintiff and his wife, were probably just there to hang out with his parents. And because the brother lives there, he's got to see his brother, who he doesn't get along with. Oh, it must, like, I get along really, really well with my sister, which I am very lucky. Because my husband and his brother don't get along. They're actually very much like them. I don't think my husband would ever sue him. Well, unless he did something really bad. But they don't have, like, the best relationship. So, you know, it's very nice to have a very close relationship with your sibling, and it sucks when you don't. So, oh, man, because it gets messy, messy, messy. Especially it sucks for the parents because, you know, you want your kids to get along, and then when your kids don't get along, that complicates things.
Stephen, first time I believe you went inside and said, "Could you turn it down?" Mm-hmm. Second time I don't believe you went inside and very politely asked him to turn it down. So let's revise that.
I tell you the truth, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
I went in there, I asked him a second time. He said the same thing again.
So after he cursed you the first time, listen to me, Stephen, after he cursed you the first time, you went inside and said politely to him again, "Hey man, could you please turn it down?" I just want you to tell me, is that what you're selling to me?
No, ma'am, that's
Is
what
that what
happened.
you
Maybe
said?
he was nice about it the first time, but I don't know. I just don't. They clearly don't have a good relationship, so he probably was like, "Hey, turn it down," and the brother was like, "No, because I don't like you."
To me.
That's what happened.
Go ahead. Keep going.
I went back into the living room for the second time. I asked him again politely. He shouted profanities at me again. I walked back into the kitchen. I still couldn't hear.
Oh my god, they're really gonna like get into a huge fight over if he can turn down the TV or not. Like, I know you want to watch your show, and what, this is like 2005, 2006, 2007, in that time frame. I think, like, you know, didn't people have DVRs back then? Couldn't you record shows back then? I'm pretty sure you could. So, but I guess, like, if they're already watching it, I get it. It is annoying. But I'd be like, okay, you know what? Screw it. Watching this show is not worth getting into a huge argument in our parents' house, but I guess it is. I forgot to plug in my microphone, so if the sound has changed at all, I apologize. Alright, let's keep going.
I looked for my parents. I didn't see them. I came
You
back
looked
inside.
for your parents, you couldn't find them. How big is your house? I'm like, what were you gonna do? Go tell on your brother? Like, Mom, he won't turn the TV down. Like, oh, it's so petty. It's so stupid.
I'm still at the television. I still can't hear it. I walk back in there again. On the third time, I actually tried to turn down the television myself. I look off the corner of my eye. I see the defendant running at
Wow,
me.
he really is
and
just saying the defendant. He's not saying my brother. They have that terrible of a relationship that he doesn't even, I'm guessing, really consider him family.
My hands up. I'm like, what are you doing? What's going on? At that time, he struck me on the side of the face. I wrapped my arms around him and was struggling to hold him. He was trying to hit me. We fell down to the floor. He was still trying to strike me. At that time, I had my head down, trying to protect myself, holding him down. He did come free. We stood back up. I was still trying to hold on to him. I was holding on to his shirt. His shirt started to come off. I stepped back. He pulled his shirt off the rest of the way, and he came at me again. I grabbed him again, put my arms around him again. I did not one time hit him. I backed him up all the way to the fireplace area, which is probably about 8 feet away. I let go of him. I stepped back to where we originally were. He grabbed a large wooden bowl, ran at me like this. When he got closer to me, I tried to duck because I thought he was going to throw it at me. He hit me in the back of the head.
Jeez.
I fell to the floor. I blacked out for a split second. And she came into the room, and she was yelling at him to stop. Finally, I got up. I was dizzy. I reached back to the back of my head. My head was busted open. I was bleeding. I had blood all over my hands.
And you had stitches?
I went to the hospital. They put stitches in.
Oh my god. They let it get this far. I mean, I know, like, it's not necessarily, I mean, he claims he wasn't trying to fight him back, and maybe he wasn't, just trying to hold his brother back, and then the brother you're really gonna fight him and beat him up because he wanted to turn down your TV? Like, also you, just leave. Just leave your parents' house. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It never is worth it. And then you ended up getting stitches, and now you're in court. Not worth it.
All right, Mr. Mosier, let me hear your version of the events.
When I was watching TV, actually, I didn't have it up that loud. It is loud because it's a surround sound system. You can't...
What were you watching, William?
I don't even know. It doesn't matter. I mean, it was just TV.
It matters to me. What kind of answer is that? It doesn't matter.
It was just regular TV programming. I mean, it wasn't nothing special. I was just watching TV.
If it was nothing special, if that's true, and your brother wanted you to turn it down or off, and you didn't care that much, just do it. Because otherwise it gets to this point, where you're at court, and your brother's suing you because you beat him with a wooden bowl.
Every time he comes over...
Just a second. Don't tell me every time. On the 25th of September, you saw that your brother and his wife were watching
That's what
television.
I really like about Judge Judy, because sometimes, like, you know, if you watch, like, other court case shows, they do kind of allow them to, like, you know, talk about different times that maybe there's, like, similar situations. Judge Judy's always like, I'm here for what we are here, like, talking about today. I don't want to hear about the day before, unless it, like, pertains to the case. I don't want to hear about other times that you and your brother have gotten into stupid fights over the dumbest things. She's like, I don't care. We're here for this. That's what we're talking about. That is why I love her. She is always to the point. She's the most to the point woman ever. Love it.
In the kitchen.
Yes, ma'am.
You went into the living room to watch something that was sort of irrelevant to you because you would have remembered it, considering the fact that you were arrested that night or at some point.
There was a lot of other things going on.
He got, again, God, he beat his brother up, and he was arrested, all because he doesn't like his brother, he didn't want to turn down the TV. You just let it, you shouldn't, God.
Going on.
I would have remembered what it was that was so important. So your brother, first time he asked you to turn it down.
He never said please. He came in and he said, turn this down, I'm watching TV, is what he said. So of course he's not going to get a good response out of me. I just turned it up.
So
he turned up
so
his...
you were petty. You didn't like how, so you couldn't be the adult and be like, alright, fine, like, I'll turn it down. Like, you didn't have to be so rude about it, and then you turn it down. That's it. That's all it was. I mean, yeah, you could have maybe had, like, a comeback if you wanted to, but going to jail and hurting your brother, that's apparently better.
TV.
Just a sec. So he came in and he said, turn it down, I'm watching TV. But you already knew he was watching TV, right?
Yes, ma'am. Usually, there isn't this problem. If he would have came at me and asked me nicely, I would have turned it down right away. But every time he comes over, it's like he's trying to be the boss of me, and I just gotten sick of it. I mean, it's every time. And
so
after
he came in the first time, said turn it down, so instead you turned it up.
he's
Just a second. And then what happened the second time?
the second time he came in and he started yelling at me, I yelled some profanities back at him.
That sounds right.
He did the same, Your Honor.
I believe that.
And then it went to a third time. The third time he came in, he comes in and he switches all the dials, turns everything he can possibly turn off, and messes it all up. And
Who cares? This is like, who cares if he can't? I mean, yeah, I guess I'd be annoyed too, but again, if you're watching I mean, he could be lying, I don't know, but if he's watching a show that is irrelevant, and I think clearly he went in there to watch something irrelevant because he knew it would bother his brother. He just knows how to, like, bother him. He was doing it on purpose. That's what I believe. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Oh, God, siblings do, like, the pettiest stuff to bother each other. Like, from, like, I know I bothered the crap out of my sister. Like, I was so mean to her sometimes. I would do dumb things just to annoy her. If I, like, knew she was in her room, like, because our walls were right next to each other, I'd just, like, pound on the wall. But that, I was like, I don't know, 9? They're like, what, 30?
running up to him, and there was kind of a little bit of an altercation there, and then I hit him, and he kind of hit and spun me to the ground, pulled my shirt.
Why did you hit him?
I was mad.
Well, you can't hit somebody just because you're mad. You're
I know.
26 years old.
I know.
Well, you can't do that. Is that your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
You know how you two boys are aggravating your mother? How many of you are there?
It's just me, us two, and my little sister.
That would be you.
Yes, ma'am.
You know how you're aggravating your mother?
He also said that if I were to call and apologize, that he would not go any further with anything. Well, I called a couple times, couldn't get a
What'd you
hold
hit
of
him
him.
with a bowl for?
Because after he had pulled my shirt over my head and I was getting choked and beat on the back, I had bruises all over my back. I had marks on my neck where my shirt had been pulled around my neck. And as I got up, I'm like at a loss for oxygen. I'm mad. I've been beat on.
You hit him first.
I know. And I reached over and grabbed the first thing I could.
What if it was something like, what if instead of a wooden bowl, what if it was like a metal bowl or glass, and you could have really, really injured him because you were angry, and that happens. It doesn't matter how mad you are, like, it's not worth it. I get that you wanted to get your brother back, but just leave. Like, exit the house. Call your parents. They're hiding somewhere in the house, I guess. Like, maybe they, like, knew this would happen. They're like, oh, we'll just let them deal with it. They're adults. We shouldn't get involved. That's how I would be as a parent. I'm like, hey, you guys, that's on you. Like, I've tried, for most of my life to make you guys get along. You won't. That's on you. Just don't drag me into it.
And swung at him, and my arm wrapped around him like
well, I
this.
mean, if they were gonna kill one another, I would step in. Like, don't do that.
And caught him. I apologized. I wanted him to come over for dinner. We could talk it over.
Did you?
What?
Did you? Shh. Come on. Now, did you say, I want to pay your hospital bill, I want to pay your medical bills?
Well, I would have. I mean, if he'd actually talked to me, I haven't even been able to talk to him. I've called, I've left messages to come eat dinner and do things, try to talk it over as a family.
Well, I think you should probably do that, if for nobody else's sake, but for your mother's sake. Do you see your mother?
Very rarely. Our relationship has very much been her. It's been
Oh,
very
I thought
stressful.
that was, for a second I thought that was the defendant brother talking. I was like, doesn't he live with the mom? How is he saying that he doesn't see the mom? But yeah, no, it's the other brother, the older one. I'm pretty sure he said he was older.
Entire family. It hasn't just been this one offense. There's
Oh,
been several
of course,
recorded, unrecorded
of course,
criminal.
that wouldn't, like, I mean, maybe, like, escalate to that point, but yeah, I guarantee you there has been, probably throughout most of their life, this is how they treat each other.
Offenses made by the defendant. It's
Against who?
against me and other people.
What other offenses against you?
Well, I haven't lived with my parents for probably 8 to 10 years. At that time, that brief time that I did live there, for some reason the defendant had a
He
taser.
just keeps calling him the defendant. And wait, he had a taser? And what? They said okay.
Actually tasered one time.
Oh, you boys got to stop fighting.
It was
I
either
don't
that or
wanna
go to a
fight.
big
How old
fight.
are you?
I'm 30 years old, ma'am.
You got to stop
Dude,
fighting.
They are both adults, like adult men, and then when they get together with each other, they just cannot, they like forget how to act. It's like, at that point, I get that he wants to see his parents, but if I was the mom, I'd be like, you know what? What's his name? Brian, you know, your younger brother's here. Why don't we hang out different? Why don't I come over to your house? Because every time you guys are around each other, it's not good. It's not good for me. It's not good for you. It's not good for him. It's not good for, maybe they have a dog. It's probably upsetting the dog. That's not cool.
Tom, you got to stop beating up on each other.
I'm not interested in fighting. I've never been.
Good.
I've
What
never
are your
been that
medical
type of
bills,
person.
sir? Just give me the bills that you have to pay out of pocket.
I have a medical bill for $377.27, $100, and $25. I have suffered a lot professionally and personally.
Well,
from
how
the attack.
professionally?
Well, my head was busted open. I had 2 staples in the back of my head.
I believe you.
I had a huge mark on my face for about a month. I had really bad headaches in the back of my head. I've never had headaches before in my life.
What kind of work do you do, William?
I work for a pool company,
Doing what?
cleaning pools.
Okay. Well,
They
I
changed it to
understand.
Pool man. I think before it said like brother of the defendant or of the plaintiff, and now it's pool man.
He feels very, very angry, and the truth of the matter is that you were wrong. You were wrong on all counts. A, you were wrong because your brother and his wife were guests in your home. So if you know that they're watching television in the kitchen, which you in fact knew, and you have a much in the living room, if you wanted to be a nice person to the guests in your home, you say, listen, there's nothing particularly important that I'm watching. Why don't you guys go inside in the living room and watch the program in surround sound? You chose not to do that. You
I
chose
said this at the beginning, like, why weren't they watching what they were watching on the bigger TV? I don't know. If there's a bigger TV option, I would want to go watch that. Instead of, like, they said it's like this tiny little, like, tube TV. I don't know if they said that. They said, what, 15-inch? So pretty small. I'm going to assume it's a tube TV. Yeah, but like I said, maybe they were just sitting there eating ice cream. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe I'd say they were making dinner, but they said they ate dinner earlier because that's what they came over for, is to have family dinner. So I'm going to say they were having dessert, just sitting in the kitchen watching TV, which I guess you can do and watch TV wherever you want, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not blaming them because clearly the brother was like being petty and like saw that they were watching TV and purposely just turned it on to bother his brother. Which they must have had some sort of argument during dinner or something. I mean, they said everything was fine, and the brother just decided he was gonna like screw with his older brother and be like, I don't want you to watch TV. I'm gonna bother you. I don't know. They probably there's something that triggered that. Unless the brother really just felt like being petty, which could definitely be a thing.
to act like a baby. You went into the room, you turned on the television, the surround sound. He came inside, and I absolutely do not believe his story that he came in and asked you very politely to turn it down. That's not what a 30-year-old brother does. He comes in and says, turn it down, I'm watching TV, especially when he's got his wife in the kitchen egging him on a little bit. Would that be a fair statement, Miss Mosier? You don't know.
I was loading the RV.
You don't know.
Yeah, probably.
But then, when he comes inside and he says to you, please turn it down, you acted like a bigger baby and you turned it up.
Well, if he would have
You
asked
turned-
for
It doesn't
Listen, if I-
matter. You can't say like, well, if he had done this, I would have acted better. Like, why don't you be the adult? Why don't you let him be however rude he wants and be a child? You know, you can be the adult and be like, fine, I'll go watch TV in my room, you know, or I'll just go do something else, like, or I'll turn it down. That's all he wanted.
5'7", I probably would have been on the cover of Vogue, but I'm not. So if he would have said to you, would you please turn it down? Yes, you would have turned it down. If you said, would you please turn it down? You wouldn't have hit him on the head with a bowl. You wouldn't have punched him in the face. Stop being a baby. Your mother may baby you. I'm not going to baby you. You did the wrong thing. And for that, you have to pay. Now, your brother could be, you know, a big brother and say, listen, it was a horrible thing, but I don't want it to interfere with my relationship with my mother anymore or with my sister anymore.
Oh, look at the sister. She's like, I wish it was like that. I wish that one of them would grow up and be the adult.
Get over it, get over it. He chooses not to do that. He chooses to let it fester, which is not a smart thing to do because it doesn't make anybody in your family feel better. And I'm not so concerned about him. I'm more concerned about your mother. In any event, I'm awarding you $1,000 for all this pain and suffering and other stuff that you have, and $502 for your medical bills.
Wow, he actually got pain and suffering. That's super rare that that people get that in cases. Now it says, claims family is taking defendant's side. Mom loves him more.
And that's it, Mr. Mosier, because I also think that you didn't handle it well. Because you could have taken your wife and left, instead of letting it escalate by going inside and touching property that wasn't yours, which you did.
I did ask politely.
I don't care whether you ask politely or not. If you ask politely and somebody says no, and if you don't like the game, go home to your own house and watch the program. You don't go into his room where he's watching television and it's his home and touch his property. So there were other ways that you could have dealt with it.
Sure.
Which is why, sir, you're not getting the $5,000 that you're asking for.
$5,000? Dude. They always go for the max, I guess, just in case. But he's still getting like $1,500. I'm just shocked that he got anything for pain and suffering because they normally never award that.
You are being compensated marginally. Your medical bills and $1,000 for your pain and suffering. Period. End of discussion. Do we understand each other? Yes, goodbye.
Alright, so that's the end of that case. The final thoughts are just the brothers saying kind of the same thing they were saying, where the younger one's like, he's always telling me what to do, and like he always thinks he can boss me around, and then the other one's saying like, I don't trust him, he's scary, like I never know what's gonna happen, like, if you don't know what's gonna happen, if you're so, like, I guess scared of your brother, then don't do anything that may upset him, like, I don't know, grabbing the remote and turning off the TV. That may trigger him. And it did. And then it came to all of this. Like, I know that they just don't get along, and they should just not be around each other, and I feel bad for the mom, because and the sister, they probably just, like, get caught in the middle all the time, and really, the brothers just either need to stop talking to each other altogether, or grow up. Alright guys, that's the end of this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and if you really, really liked it, please subscribe. Let's talk all things this case and sibling rivalry in the comments below, and until my next video, I will see you guys then. Bye!